Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another video. You're probably sick of hearing my voice, of seeing my face, but there's just so much news to cover. Of course, the NBA draft is tonight. I've got a lot to do leading up to that, including the fact that I'm live streaming tonight during the draft at 7:45 p.m. Eastern, 15 minutes before it begins, in case you're not in the Eastern time zone. So be on the lookout for that. It was a really fun time the past couple of years. We're going to do at least the full first round, so make sure you come hang out. But yeah, I'm preparing for that. I'm also making non-stop videos because I was originally going to drop a mock draft today, but of course there's no time for that with all these moves being made. We had the Bradley Beal trade a few days ago. We had the Kristaps Porzingis trade not once, but twice yesterday, so I had to make two videos on that because the first one was almost immediately made outdated, literally like 5 hours after I posted that video. The trade fell apart and ended up getting done, this time involving Marcus Smart, so I had to make a new video. And today I was planning on kind of just chilling up until my draft live stream, maybe get the mock draft video done. And instead, we've got another blockbuster, again coming from Washington, who are the sole culprits of not letting me rest for even a moment. And this time, they're trading Chris Paul, who it seemed like they would probably end up waiving. There was rumors that they were going to try and go ahead and get an asset for him, either trading him to the Clippers, or maybe a squad like the Lakers, maybe the Celtics, who kind of need a playmaking guard now that Marcus Smart is gone. There are a lot of rumors, or that he might just end up getting waived and walking to one of those teams, which seemed like the most likely outcome. But instead, he's going to the Golden State Warriors, which did seem like an outcome if he got waived, but I didn't expect it in a trade because the way this trade happens is that the Warriors give the Wizards Jordan Poole after their new GM said like a week ago that they plan on having him around for 4 more years. He's been traded. We got some rumors leading up to this deal today that the Warriors were exploring possibilities for dealing him. Then out of the blue, he's been dealt over there to the Washington Wizards in exchange for Chris Paul, and alongside Jordan Poole going to Washington, you've got Ryan Rollins, who was the Warriors' second-round pick this past year, a protected first-round pick in 2030, and a 2027 second-round pick. It's a blockbuster deal. It's one of those trades that right now on Twitter has wait what, bro what, Jordan Poole, Chris Paul, Warriors, Wizards, everything in between trending. Like the app is falling apart. Nobody saw this coming. It's a massive move that has huge implications for both of these squads, and I'm trying to figure out how I feel about it. Let's start off with talking about the Wizards' perspective, and then we'll get into what it means that Chris Paul is now in Golden State. I like this move a lot for the Wizards. I think they've done an incredible job to begin this rebuild. They brought in the new front office, and from the get-go, they have been aggressive. They said, we're going to go ahead and blow this thing up, take advantage of any deals we can find, and get this thing done before the draft. Now they have a clean slate heading into tonight's draft where they know what assets are on the roster, who's not there. They have the potential to maybe move some other pieces that they have because they have a surplus of depth, especially at the guard position, for potentially more picks in this draft. They've done a great job. And I think getting Jordan Poole for Chris Paul is the icing on top of everything because, sure, Jordan Poole wasn't great for the Warriors last season, but you take no risk by bringing on a guy in Jordan Poole who, sure, is under contract for 4 more seasons and is making a lot of money, and if he plays like he did last year, it's a bit of an overpay. But you're the Washington Wizards who are just beginning a rebuild. It doesn't matter if Jordan Poole isn't great for you. You'll just tank. Towards the bottom of the standings, you'll get more pieces to add to this young core, which maybe Jordan Poole does become part of. If he is good, if he bounces back to who he was like a year ago, you've now got a 24-year-old, really solid young player with a ton of potential, maybe even all-star upside on a multi-year contract, and maybe you're able to re-sign him, keep him here for multiple years as part of this young core. Again, he's only 24 years old. So if the Wizards were able to bounce back to maybe contention in 4 or 5 years, he'll be 28, 29 years old in the midst of his prime. So there's no risk in this at all for the Wizards, especially because they gave up a 38-year-old Chris Paul who has no business being on a rebuilding team, and it didn't feel like they were going to be able to get any asset for anyways, in addition to a first-round pick and a second-round selection. Like, this is a home run deal for the Wizards. I don't think there should be anybody saying that this was bad for Washington. I think people have been way too hard on this Washington front office for everything that they've done so far because this trade is amazing. I like the return they got for the Porzingis deal because, again, he was on a player option. I mentioned all that in the video yesterday. And some more details have just come out about the Suns Bradley Beal trade where Washington is getting 4 first-round pick swaps as well as 6 second-round picks for Bradley Beal, and they got Chris Paul and Landry Shamet for Bradley Beal. So in turn, all in all, for trading Beal away, they've gotten all those first-round pick swaps and second-round picks. They've gotten Jordan Poole, another first from the Golden State Warriors, Ryan Rollins, a second-round pick. They might still be able to flip Landry Shamet. Like, they've done a lot, and they've done it well. I think people have to give a lot more credit to what the Wizards front office has done. They got aggressive. They've stayed in that lane. They've made more trades than anybody so far through this offseason, and it's involved numerous big names. I really have to applaud what they've done. I think they've set themselves up for a great beginning to this rebuild. They've got an interesting backcourt now of Tyus Jones and Jordan Poole, which might not win you a bunch of games, but it's going to be fun, and at least you're building towards something rather than knowing that the writing is on the wall and that your team is never going to win anything. They've got Deni Avdija and Johnny Davis, two interesting young pieces. I'm not giving up on Johnny Davis yet. I still think he could be a really solid player in the league. And also, they've got the 8th overall pick in tonight's draft. Maybe they trade up from that. Maybe they trade down to get more assets. Who really knows? But regardless, they're at least going to get one more great young player in this draft class, hopefully. I think the Wizards have done a great job. I'm actually excited for what's going on in Washington right now, which is not something I would have said at all for the last few years. Now, of course, we've got to talk about what this means for the Golden State Warriors. They're now getting Chris Paul to, I presume, be their sixth man now that they've traded their sixth man away in Jordan Poole. I think he's going to slot into that role. I don't think he's going to start. I saw some people theorizing on Twitter that they would run out a lineup of Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green. I just don't think that makes much sense. I think it makes a lot more sense to let Steph Curry continue to be that lead guard in the starting lineup and have Chris Paul come off the bench as a facilitator, a solid three-point shooter. Still, the mid-range jumper is starting to decline a bit, but he can still knock down some threes, facilitate for others. I think it's a good fit for the Warriors. I like the idea of adding Chris Paul to this team. I think some people have begun to underrate Chris Paul a little bit because of the age, the injury history, and also the contract. I think people looked at his production on a $30+ million deal and said, wow, he's not good anymore. But I think, he still is on that massive deal, but it doesn't matter as much for the Golden State Warriors, who are already going to be paying Jordan Poole a lot of money. So I don't think the deal matters that much. And I think Chris Paul, outside of the deal, is still a really productive player. I like the way he fits in this Golden State Warriors system. Him next to Steph Curry is a crazy pairing, one that I never would have guessed would happen at any point. But it's cool to see now two of the best point guards of all time on the same team. I'm excited to see how that operates, how Chris Paul fits into Steve Kerr's offense, because the Warriors were already one of the most fun offenses to watch. You add his playmaking into the equation and things are just going to become so much fun. I think he's also going to be good at helping set up those younger players if they do hold on to Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga. I think he's going to be big in their development, being just another playmaking veteran presence for them. Also, I think they still could move on from Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga. Maybe they try and trade those guys for more veteran help, because going for Chris Paul feels like an all-in type move, trading away Jordan Poole. And I've long been someone that has said the Warriors should move on from this two timelines thing. You have to commit whatever you can to trying to win now with Steph Curry in this core. I think this move indicates that they might be going that direction. Although I will say that giving up Jordan Poole, while he wasn't great this past season, does sting a little bit for the Warriors, because it was nice having a young piece that could help you build towards the future. I thought they were just going to keep him and see how he looks if he had a bounce back year, and if not, maybe then you deal him at some point during the season or by the deadline. But instead, they decided to go out and trade him for Chris Paul, and a lot of people are freaking out, saying that this was a massive mistake. I think only time will tell, but I do think that Chris Paul is going to help elevate this team. He isn't going to provide the same scoring punch, but I think the Warriors instead need a bit more of that stabilizing playmaking presence that Chris Paul is going to bring to the table. And I expect the Warriors to make more moves, even if it isn't including Kuminga and Moody. I think they could trade their first round pick this year. They've also got some more young pieces and some picks that they could go ahead and move on from as well. I also expect Draymond Green to return, especially with Jordan Poole being traded. There was a lot of talk about how that initial punch where Draymond hit Jordan Poole kind of led to some of the collapses of Golden State this past season. So it did kind of make sense that one of them would have to be gone since they trade Jordan Poole. It seems like Draymond will most likely return, and I think the Golden State Warriors are really well set up to compete for a championship next season. It definitely hurts their long-term outlook beyond Steph Curry in this current core, but I do think it makes sense to try and commit to whatever you can do now to help them win. Chris Paul hopefully is able to stay healthy. If the injury concerns pop up, this could look like an absolute disaster of a move in a couple of seasons, or maybe even at some point this year. They also did have to give up that top 20 protected pick in 2030, which I don't know if it's going to convey or not, because we have no idea how the Golden State Warriors are going to look in 7 seasons. It's still unreal that those picks can be traded at this point. So yeah, all in all, I think it's a massive win for the Wizards. Tentatively, I like it for the Golden State Warriors. I can see why this is going to work, and I think ultimately they will be better than they were last season, adding Chris Paul alongside any other moves they may make, but it definitely does hurt the long-term outcome. This is an all-in type move, in my opinion, for Golden State, which might be what they need to do to maximize this current core that they have and help Steph Curry try and pursue another ring. Also, one more important thing to note is that Chris Paul's contract for next season is completely non-guaranteed, so they could just waive him if things don't work out this year, giving them a lot of cap relief as well, getting off of Jordan Poole's big contract. So that is something else to factor in here. That might be the route that they're trying to go, where they're just trying to clear up some space to maybe bring in another star to help Steph Curry and the rest of this core in the future. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on this whole Jordan Poole, Chris Paul trade. Let me know who you think was the biggest winner of this deal down below in the comment section. How do you think Chris Paul is going to fare with the Warriors? Do you think they just got better or worse? For the Wizards, what kind of numbers do you think Jordan Poole is going to put up over there? Yeah, I'll see some of y'all later, hopefully, for that draft live stream at 7:45 p.m. Eastern. I'm sure I'll see y'all again on this channel within the next 24 hours, way less than that, to be honest. I'm going to make videos after the draft. If there's any big trades that go down, I'll make videos as well. So I'll see y'all a couple more times over the next few days, and then maybe I'll finally get a chance to rest because it's been nonstop with this offseason. But as always, I appreciate y'all watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. I'll see y'all later. Real one, say it back.